Hey guys, so it's that time. It's our podcasting time. Whoops, sorry about that. I hope you guys can all hear me. Let me just make sure that my mic is all set up and we are good to go. I'm thinking yes, it looks like mic is working. Thank you so much for joining me today. So I really want to talk to you guys about why the potential of you guys being attached to pain and suffering versus focusing on health and healing, right? So recently, I got to asking my autoimmune health transformation clients that are in my year-long program, what does health mean to them, right? And I got really marginal answers, being symptom-free, being able to wake up without pain, stopping medications, and potentially doing travels. Like, it wasn't anything drastic. And so I challenged them to think about, okay, being healthy doesn't mean absence of symptoms. Being healthy means different things to different people, but it can be running a 5K, ultra marathon, or even climbing Mount Everest. And so I challenge them to really think about dreaming big and the loftier goals that they set for their health, better outcome they'll have, because your mind needs to be stretched. If we're always just kind of existing in status quo, that's where we'll be. And really, with autoimmunity, all of us are so riddled with fear of the incurability, fear of the unknown, fear of healing, fear of relationships, fear of money, fear of just everything that can go wrong typically is what we fear. And there's so much unknowns with living with autoimmunity. I get it. But too, at the same time, if you really think about it, let's talk about what fear is, right? Fear is false experiences appearing real, right? And what do I always say about fear is that really, at the end of the day, fear is what causes parasite. It's like a parasite effect in our health. So it's something that I want you guys to learn to get a handle on, to make sure that you do not live held hostage by the fears that you hold, because it's completely unnecessary. Because fear is a feeling, and it's a very negative feeling. Fear just drums up all the negative frequencies, and it causes vibrations that has a physiological effect, both in our endocrine system, in our gut, and in our brain and our immune system, affecting our metabolism, detoxification, and even elimination. And so it really does matter how you handle and manage your fear, right? Because number one, it causes stress in our lives, and stress has an impact in our brain through the HPA axis, which is hypopituitary adrenal axis. And that has a cascade of effects like endocrine disruptor. It has endocrine system involves thyroid, adrenals, insulin, progesterone, cholesterol, estrogen, and testosterone. And a lot of it's no wonder why so much of the autoimmune patients have hypothyroid for years and years and years before they even get diagnosed with any autoimmunity. And almost always now the statistics are in the upper 90s that anybody with hypothyroid has Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune based thyroid issue, right? I want you to really understand the impact of stress in our brain and in our health. Because when stress kind of degrades our ability through the endocrine system, then it's going to affect our gut brain, right? And really, gut brain is our enteric nervous system. It's going to affect our gut permeability, which allows things to penetrate into our body toxic chemicals, perfumes, and all the toxins that we should be able to kind of fend ourselves from are no longer able to be fended, right? So that becomes an issue for us. And that's why so many of the autoimmune patients have sort of this food intolerance, perfume intolerance. All of a sudden, we're intolerant to so many things and we break out into hives. We have dry spots, we have eczemas, we've got all the other things, right? All the symptomatic things are as a result of a deeper issue. And so I really want you to think about fear leading to stress. And then we got down to gut. Next, what happens is it causes inflammation in the brain through the gut-brain axes, right? And you know what brain inflammation looks like? It doesn't manifest as pain so much, but brain inflammation is very intangible. It appears and it manifests through brain fog, memory loss, fatigue, depression, focus issues, etc. And how many of you who have autoimmune conditions have these issues? It's not really pain per se. It's not debilitating, but many of my patients, they all report that they have these issues. And this does have a play. And then, what happens is brain is inflamed. Overall systemic inflammation then triggers our immune brain axes. And that ultimately, if it's not managed well, it leads to autoimmunity affecting our neurotransmitters, hormones, central nervous system, immune system, endocrine system, disrupting our metabolism, detoxification, and elimination. And now it's become a toxic pool, right? What if I told you, what if, right? If you were to entertain, what if you were subconsciously meaning it's being known to you, it's completely blindsided, right? What if you were subconsciously attached to suffering and pain because that's what's familiar, right? I see this over and over again. Subconsciousness, and people are attached to suffering. And even when given the opportunity, we all know generally if we do these things, we can get rid of a lot of our symptoms. But we get into this negative thinking and we are constantly in this vortex. And a lot of the times we can't even pull out of it. And really, what that does is it keeps us in a state of fear. And what did I say about the fear, right? And you know what that fear attacks? It starts to affect our relationship, not only with our health, but it doesn't make us want to do things for ourselves. It affects our relationship with our spouse, with our kids, with our parents, with our coworkers, and with our, of course, health, because we don't want to help ourselves anymore. And then it's going to ultimately affect our relationship with our wealth as well. 3 important things: wealth, health, and relationships. And once it starts to degrade, it's like a perpetual cycle of this stress, because that kind of begets stress, right? Over and over again. And many of my patients can't come out of it. And all in the name of functional medicine, holistic medicine. They seek a practitioner who is an expert, but all they get is tactical, scratch the surface approach of changing their diet, being scared to eat, taking a bunch of supplements, doing expensive testing, only to do Band-Aid approach, not with medications though, because it's holistic. You get supplements, but it also doesn't have a wholehearted effect in your system, because you're not addressing you as a whole, right? We have many layers to us, you guys. We have the physical layer, and that's where the systems are falling apart. But that's all because of our emotional, mental, social, and spiritual health that's been degrading for a long time. How many of you guys have had certain fears? And fear is something that's second nature to you because of the trauma that you endured when you were little. And this is what I'm finding 100% of the time. Everybody that works with me in my health transformation program, when I apply the alkaline method to really get to the root of where the trauma came from, they all realize that it was all the past, that they recreate over and over again to have this physiological effect. Remember, fear is the ultimate parasite to health and longevity, and it's really what causes autoimmune conditions to worsen. But did you know that you may be subconsciously attached to your pain and suffering, so much so that you're completely blindsided by your own tendencies because of your lack of self-love, self-regard, and self-respect? Because when you have these physical traumas or that led into emotional and mental, and you have this blind side and it's been deeply in your system and you harbor it in your body as a vibrational frequency that's never been metabolized, food is not just food that we eat. Food choices are made by our emotions, but our emotions are preceded by the thinking, the thoughts that we hold. And all these are voluntary. And unless we really work with you to take a look at what's going on there and to get to the root of it, not to dwell in self-pity, but to recognize it and become aware of it and shift from sick to health, is what our alkaline method allows you to do. Because we do have a big component of subconscious training as well as conscious mind training, and then applying the modern medicine piece with the timeless wisdom. And this cycle of life continues because all the elemental and fundamental aspects of our well-being is addressed in real time, and I treat you like a human being that you are. So it's time to reveal your attachment so that you can finally detach and free yourself from the unnecessary pain and suffering once and for all. And I promise you, because I'm a patient just like you, I know what this means. And so if that's you, come join me in my free Facebook group. It's called Tribe of Autoimmune Health Rebels. I will have Leslie, probably my assistant, did put the link in this feed. Come join me over there so we can have elevated conversations together to try to pull ourselves out of this ditch so that we can go forward in full-hearted healing that you're so capable of. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode, please, please, please subscribe to our podcast. And I would really appreciate it if you can leave me a great review, because it really helps with the algorithm to reach more people. And I really am seeking to help as many autoimmune rebels as possible in my lifetime. This is the journey that I'm on, and this is a movement that I want you to join me on. So join me there, and I hang out a lot on Instagram at Lupus Rebel, as well as Dr. Connie Gian. I have a YouTube channel, so subscribe there as well. And then you can find me always. I come in at least once a day to give you snippets of inspiration so that I can invoke and evoke things in you so that you can take action. Because again, I'm not here as an expert. I'm a patient just like you, because I know the secret sauce. Healing is really an inside job. And all I can do is to guide you along your journey, because it's yours and it's yours alone. And there's so many variability in autoimmunity that you need to be on board. And that's exactly what I teach in my programs and in the group that we have through our Facebook. So join me there. And thank you so much for watching or listening or reading. And I'll see you guys all next week. Bye for now.